Oh, Valentine's Day. The one day every year where everyone gets to celebrate by hanging out with their loved ones and, well, doing whatever. Now, me personally, I don't have a love interest or whatever because I'm just built like that. But yeah, today I will be narrating a very special story that has to do with some certain SBB ship, which everyone is aware of, ex-Farno, judging by the title. Now, I have nothing else to say. Just sit back, grab some popcorn and maybe some pizza and relax and enjoy. Make sure to like and subscribe as well. So our story starts with one of the main characters arguing with a high school bully.
I told you, Todd, I don't have any motherfucking money!
Due to the lack of respect that Inferno shows for Todd for being a dick and, well, for not having any money, Todd ends up pinning Inferno to the locker.
Hey! No! Stop, what are you doing?
You better shut the fuck up for a second, or else I'm gonna carve your little eyeballs out. I'm gonna squeeze that little Pokemon of yours, you understand?
You can't be serious! Are you crazy?
Well, to answer your question for you, yes, he was crazy. Psychologically, to be specific. Also, as of asking that question, he pushed him to the point that he made him threaten his friends to hurt them.
Oh shit! Run! Come on, Elijah and Amelia!
By saying this mostly triggered Todd, and instead of helping him, Inferno's friends ditched him instead, and Todd will basically beat the shit out of him.
No! Stop!
I'm gonna be honest, viewers. I don't even know why he's ear raping in the first place. Like, I didn't even ask him to ear rape, but all of his lines, he's just ear raping. It's kind of annoying. But yeah, those were his last words while screaming as he's getting beaten the fuck out of. Anyway, later, Inferno goes sees his bestie XM at the park. Ah, how romantic. And, well, they give each other flowers. Ah, also romantic. And then, oh, apparently XM notices Inferno's scars and asks him what happened to him. And, well, Inferno's hesitant to answer, but tells him anyway about Todd and the other boys at his school. Well, due to this, XM gets extremely mad and, oh, what's this? XM's has lightning. Okay. That's interesting. We might get a bit more about that later. Anyway, later though, XM goes back at his hotel, to which he is encountered by a medium lady who kind of guides him and informs him about the future and will warns him about how he's in danger because of his relationship, which is at stake, and tells him about how Inferno's at risk of possibly dying in the future at some point, but isn't explaining how his death might happen yet. XM, being this worried about it, of course, wants to take action and prevent Inferno's death, of course. So first thing he does is take action and justice. So he goes to find one of the bullies, and he ends up finding one of them in the alley. His name being Aaron, of course. XM ends up threatening Aaron to staying away from Inferno and to not harm him at all costs, which Aaron, of course, well, disobeys the offer, of course. This only ends up triggering XM, which his eyes end up glowing blue hysterically, and, well, he ends up electrocuting him. Wow, that's gotta hurt, dude. This ends up scaring XM, seeing as how he, well, almost killed someone, and seeing as how he's passed out, XM just runs away from the crime scene. A bit sooner later, well, we don't know if it's sooner or later, but at some point, Todd ends up finding his buddy Aaron passed out in the alleyway, wondering what happened, of course. He wakes a bit up, looking a bit sick. Todd, looking very worried about his pal, he ends up walking and taking him home and putting him to sleep, hoping that he'll be okay, of course. And then all of a sudden, a creepy noise came out of nowhere. It sounded very mysterious that he wasn't sure and was very unclear of. He looked back at his friend to see him still asleep. So then he went to go investigate in the kitchen to see what that noise was. He was a bit nervous, but also remembered that he literally was a high school bully for a reason. And then, next second, what ends up popping behind him is none other than...
Hey, Todd.
And hearing that voice scared the absolute fuck out of Todd. I mean, honestly, this part kind of scares me too, I'm not even gonna lie. And this is supposed to be a goddamn love story, but whatever. Anyway, to his surprise, it was the Hazen. And no, not knowing who Hazen was, though, he was a bit scared. But, of course, as the legend says, though, usually those who see Hazen, it ends up being their first and final moments alive when seeing him and encountering him. He didn't actually think he was real, though. However, looking at his knife and thinking that his first and very final moments alive while meeting the legend would be over, Hazen, however, said that he wasn't there to harm Todd exactly. As well, it's very strange and not common for him to spare his victims, but he told him as he usually leaves at least one person alive to tell the tale and, well, spread the word around of his name, of course. And he saw potential of Todd, in fact. And he wasn't exactly a victim that Hazen was after, as he had other fish to fry and other foxes to hunt. Specifically Gaming Fox, of course, who is totally not narrating the story, by the way. So, of course, seeing by this influence, of course, Hazen, of course, knew Todd could get a chance at maybe some redemption and get back at Inferno, possibly, and all the other people that see him as a threat. So, of course, Todd was just willingly to do whatever Hazen says, of course. Then, later that exact same night, Exum tells Rauko exactly what happened during the alleyway and in overall, with his eyes still glowing blue, of course, and accidentally setting a bit of the room with lightning, of course. Rauko, of course, comforts him and, well, tells him that it's not that big of a deal and he'll get used to his powers, of course, seeing as how Rauko's had experience of stuff like this, especially with or without the Chaos Emeralds, of course, and with his experience on Mobius, of course. The next day, Todd ends up visiting his dad at prison, and of course his dad, well, wasn't that good of a man considering he did a lot of bad crimes in the past, and he wasn't a good influence towards his kid, knowing how, well, he ended up being, of course, mentally insane. Now, Todd, however, told him about the Hazen situation and, well, telling him it's going to be okay and how he'll break his dad out of prison and that they can spend a good life together and doing whatever they want and other crazy shit. Now, of course, his dad, however, didn't want to be involved with his kid anymore. Not because he didn't care about him, but because he just simply didn't want to be in danger, of course. Well, his own kid being in danger, of course, more so than him. This, however, though, started them having a bit of an argument, of course, and then Todd saying that if you're not going to be on my side, then you're going to have to sadly die, old man. So then he ends up breaking through the glass window and ends up choking his dad, quite literally. While the guards try to, of course, break up the fight, it was too late. His dad's neck ends up being snapped, and, well, he ends up getting away with the crime somehow. Then, soon that day, not long after, Aaron ends up waking up unaware and not remembering what happened last night. He then ends up walking to the kitchen and ends up seeing a note. It's from his parents, of course, which says, "Dear Aaron, I'm sorry, but we have no other choice. By the time you're reading, you're probably wondering where we are. We decided to move out. We don't know for how long and when we'll be back. but it's for the best and to protect you. Sadly, we can't bring you with us. It's not because we don't care about you, son. It's because we love you, but don't want you to get harmed because of this. Someday, you'll understand why. From Mommy and Daddy. This, however, reading this note ends up making him very emotional and unstable, seeing as how his parents quite literally left him, and not knowing the answers why. He wanted to gain some answers. So then he tries to find his buddy Todd, of course. Now, you're probably wondering where Todd is. Well, meanwhile, he's vandalizing the streets, quite literally spray painting and carving Hazen's name literally everywhere on the brick walls, on the sidewalks, on, well, quite literally everywhere. Like, holy jeez, dude, like, you're literally spreading the name of the legend quite a lot. Then all of a sudden, buildings were being destroyed. The thunder and lightning was striking. Quite literally, there was so much chaos and destruction all happening at once. It was too much for him to process at once. And then to the point that, was anything even real? That he wondered, like, what was going on? Was it all a dream? Was it all in his head? Was the end of the world happening now? And all of a sudden, he was just hanging on a boulder rock that was floating in the sky. Then he manages to hang up. To then, his surprise, he ends up seeing a demonic creature known as Kronos, who he also didn't know who he was, apparently. Todd, being this scared and terrified, seeing another demonic creature in this world, not knowing what to do, of course, tries to defend himself with a baseball bat and nails. However, it didn't matter, because in the end, he got stabbed. Bet y'all didn't see that one coming. And in his final moments, he was breathing hesitantly, trying to breathe for air, just wishing that there would be a chance that he could redeem himself. But it was too late. As soon as his eyes closed, he never woke up again. He was dead. Now, I know he was kind of a dick, but did he really deserve to die like this? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. A few weeks already passed by, and Todd is confirmed missing. At this point, most people assume that he's either dead or likely moved out to a different place to live. But from most other people's perspectives, he's most likely to be dead. Now, this of course made a lot of people feel a bit of sympathy, not too much of course, but this affected one person in particular, his bestie Aaron, considering the fact that he knew Todd his whole life growing up, and how, well, even though he was an asshole, he was, well, the only person that was pretty much nice to Aaron. So, seeing as how he now not only lost his best friend, but his parents as well, he only blamed a few people for the disappearance of Todd, and those people being Amelia and Elijah, considering the fact that they were somewhat related to all that bullying, of course. He just assumed that, of course, that they had something to do with his disappearance. Aaron knew he had nothing he could do, as he was all alone now, but he wanted to take action and revenge for his bestie, and to make his parents proud. He just wished that he could somehow find a way to slaughter them, and just, well, burn them, or even just take everything away from them, but he knew there was nothing he could do. So he just stormed off away, wishing there was something he could do to change everything. And that's the end of the story. I hope y'all enjoyed it and will like this video, of course. Yeah, I know technically we didn't get much of Inferno in this video, or, well, Exferno technically, but it somewhat counts, I guess. And if you want to connect this to the SBB Season 3 lore to do with Hazen and Kronos' story arcs as well, then I guess you can do that as well. But yeah, I guess you'll just enjoy this. Honestly, I think narrating the story wasn't too bad. Honestly, I gotta say, this just kind of proves that some characters are just broken and some have use of developing, and some characters aren't really specifically the best. But of course, that's just how it is. Of course, people suffer, unfortunately, with their loved ones, whether they end up meeting them or not. But I don't know if this really teaches anyone a lesson. If anything, I just thought this would be, I guess, a cool story. But yeah, for consideration. Anyway, thank you for watching. I am the narrator, and I will see you next time.